Hey, buddy. Yeah, Use. What are you, a deer in the headlights? Come over here real quick. Don't be shy. I hear you're looking for that ecom gushy, that underground black hat ad strategy that will leave your bank account impregnated. Maybe even afterwards, after your missus sees it, she'll want to get impregnated too. Oh, hey, yo, shh. Keep your voice down, Jeez Louise. Because this stuff doesn't come cheap, my friend. A lot of media buyers on my team were sacrificed to get these strategies. So it's gonna cost you, let's say, $1 million. You know what, my friend, actually for you, if you like this video down below, I'll give these to you right now. I really don't wear hoodies that much because I live in Florida and it makes me look like a giant penis. But let's actually talk about TikTok product testing strategies and how do people even come up with these strategies in the first place? Because you're gonna see these videos all the time from a bunch of different gurus, and a lot of times I feel like they're just blowing smoke out of their rear end. But for me, because I run a ad agency where we're literally testing hundreds of products every single month and we're testing on thousands of different accounts, this is actually the way that we come up with strategies that work for us. We have a sheet that looks like this, and you can easily come up with a spreadsheet where you have a base control testing strategy like this one right here, where you have 5 ad groups, 3 of them with interest, 2 no targeting. And how you can develop your strategy over time, especially when you're doing a lot of tests, is you can introduce a little bit of chaos with having an independent variable. So for us, when we're doing split testing, we always will do one variable changing from our original control group. So in this instance, with this top column, we did US with Australia for the targeting instead of US and Canada. And then what we would do is measure the results. These are all fake numbers, by the way. We would do this over and over and over again over the course of multiple months. And this is how I actually came up with this exact strategy. This isn't just me, oh, well, I think this is what's going to work. No, this is proven how you can actually develop a strategy that works over time. And you can also do other split tests, like doing a combination of number 1 and number 5. So that would be US with Australia, while also doing a CBO on to mark all of the data, because at the end of the day, you're going to be biased. And if you don't have the numbers guiding your decisions, you're not going to make good decisions when it comes to media buying, because it's all based on numbers and not your emotions. So this has helped us scale brands like this one right here from 0 to 1.7K a day, like this brand right here to 0 to 1.8K a day. So again, this is proven to work. And if you do want to work with my team before we start this video, I do have an automation agency where we have a team of experts who will find products for you, build custom coded one product stores, and even film custom ads. So if you're interested in finding your first or next winning product and help you scale to $1 grand a day or more in the fastest amount of time, you can click the link down below and book a call with my team. So without further ado, let's get onto TikTok ads and I'll show you how we test products. So the first thing you're gonna do, obviously, you're gonna click on conversions, because we're not trying to get no dang video views. That can't deposit that to my bank account. So for me, this is how I name all my campaigns. So I'm gonna be testing this product, the Frostball. How I name all my campaigns is the name of the product, whether it's a testing or scaling campaign, and then the break-even point. Because when you're testing on multiple ad accounts, it is good to know, first off, what's the product and what's my BEP? Because when I first analyze ad accounts, and this will be talked about a little later on, I look at CPA more than I actually look at ROAS. And I'll explain that a little later on, because I know everyone's obsessed with ROAS, but for us, and this is after I've talked to senior media buyers who have scaled accounts to the millions, they don't really look at ROAS as much as you would think. It is somewhat of an important metric, but I would say CPA is more important, your cost per purchase. But let's get into the actual ad group settings. Now, I do 5 ad groups whenever I'm testing a new product, 1 campaign, 5 ad groups, and all the ad groups are identical. I don't change anything about either of them. We're not split testing anything. And I get some people saying, Ethan, if you're not split testing, then what's the point of just creating 5 that are identical? Well, the thing is, and if you are someone who does media buying, you'll notice that even if you create 2 ad groups that are exactly alike, they're never going to perform the same way. The CPMs will be different. The CPCs will be different. Everything is different, because at the end of the day, it's still just a group of people that are in these audiences, and groups of people can react in all different ways. All humans are different. We're not robots where everything is super predictable. So even when you have 5 audiences that are exactly identical, you might only have 2 audiences that are profitable. You might have 5 audiences that are all profitable. You might have none that are profitable, but it always depends. So I would recommend not even doing that much of a split test and just have identical ad groups. So when we scroll on down, TikTok Pixel, make sure this is the actual one on your store. You'd be so surprised how many times you'll have an instance where you're just setting up the pixel and all that stuff, and you realize, oh, wait, that's not the right one. And now it's not tracking any of my conversions. And that happens all of the freaking time when I work with beginners. So you can go into your TikTok app inside of Shopify, just go to the settings real quick, and then go to data sharing, and then bada bing, bada boom, that is the right pixel for us. When it comes to placement, I do TikTok. And when it comes to advanced settings, I personally like to do video download off. And then with user comment, it's 50-50. I would say this is something you can leave on if you know your product is definitely well perceived. And for us, I'm actually going to leave that on. But if you are doing a typical dropshipping product and you are doing dropshipping ads, you're probably not going to get the best comments in the world. So I would recommend leaving them off and having your dictatorship where no one has free speech whatsoever, because that's just going to impact your conversion rate in a negative way. So let's scroll on down here. Now, when it comes to location, we're always doing United States. That's just where we're getting the best return. And it's up to you. I know one country dropshipping is working insanely well for people in Europe. So I've had people that will contact me that are just dropshipping in Norway or the Netherlands, and it's working extremely well because those places don't get a ton of ads. So these products are pretty much all new to those countries and those audiences. So maybe you want to be the person that dominates your unique country. I would recommend at least split testing it. But for me personally, after doing a bunch of different country split testing and doing agency accounts and doing personal accounts, US always works the best for me. So I'm going to stick with that all the way. When it comes to gender, I very rarely ever touch this unless it is a female dominated product. Even if it's a male dominated product, I still will have it on no limit. I never specify my male. I sometimes do it by female. Now, when it comes to ages, I only will ever do 18 plus if the product is a little bit more expensive. So if it's a product above $75, then yes, I will exclude the teenagers that have never worked a day in their life and are just collecting their little paychecks or their allowances from their sugar daddies. So we're going to go to no limit. That's pretty much how I always do things. And then with interests, I am a big believer in interests, and when I was doing a lot of split tests, I was hoping interests would perform better. For me, it always just makes sense. Okay, you can narrow down by people that are interested in that specific niche. But on TikTok, it does not work. It does not work as efficiently as broad, in my opinion. I know some people do interests, some people don't. You can have your own opinion about it. For me, though, general is always perform better, and that's why I look for products that do appeal to general, broader audiences that literally anyone can buy. So for me, that's how I personally like to do things. And maybe for your specific product, it makes sense to broaden down. But for me, I always will do broader audiences. So for daily budget, I actually have done some split testing with doing $20, $25, $30 at the opening budget. I've seen $25 is the most predictable, the most consistent, and has the least likelihood of having TikTok not spending issues. So I personally would recommend $25. So if you do the math there, 25 times 5, you'll be spending $125 a day. And when you consider most other business models, that's really not a lot of money. So if you let these run for 2 days, you're spending $250 to evaluate, really know if a product is successful, but obviously you need to make sure the other parts of your funnel are good. So your website, your ads, all that other stuff. But if you are confident in that and the only variable is just how good is the product, then this is a very good way of evaluating it. I would give it some time. Now, when it comes to midnight, day parting, all this stuff, I always set my ads for midnight of the next day. So you just click on the next day, make sure you scroll these down to 0. For day parting, so this is how it would look initially, scroll on 7 to 11. Now, the reason why we do this, when your ad gets approved at midnight and you have it on all day, TikTok is pretty dumb. It's very new, it's very naive, and it will spend typically 30 to 40% of your budget at like 3 in the morning. And who the hell is on TikTok at 3 in the morning except people that are barely awake? They can't make purchasing decisions at 3 in the morning. So you're just wasting your ad spend. So I'd recommend doing it at 7 when people first go on their phone and they're like, hey, man, I got to go to work. I need something to pick me up. Maybe I will buy this product. So 7 to 11 is the GOAT strategy for me. And then for optimization goal, I always do lowest cost. Now, when it comes to ad creatives, I've split tested having 5 in there, 3 in there, having just 1 ad group for every ad. So if I had 5 ads, 1 ad group gets ad 1, 1 ad group gets ad 2. But again, the reason why we don't do that is because every single audience, even though they're identical, performs differently. So that's not necessarily the fault of the ad if the ad group performs just wonky, because maybe just the ad group sucks. So if we are testing all of our ads equally 5 times, it gives them 5 chances to succeed. So personally, that's why I like to do it that way, and I like to do 3 ad creatives. That is the sweet spot for me. Now, while those ads get uploaded, the next thing I would recommend doing is obviously putting in your logo and branding. And so many people just put in the default trumpet, I think that is, but I don't understand why. Just put in your logo. It's like an extra 3 seconds of effort. Now, when it comes to your ad copies, I mainly just do 1 ad copy. I always do the major benefit of the product or a sale. So personally, this is typically what we recommend doing, Frostball, and then whatever the discount sale is. So 50% off sale and soon dash shop now. It can be as simple as that because no one's really reading that at the end of the day. They're watching the creative. It is a creative driven app. So after all of this and you have your 3 ads, looks like one of them didn't get uploaded, but let's just imagine hypothetically you have 3 creatives here. I'm going to edit that O down, and then you want to tag your product page. So you're going to put in the product page, and I recommend standard shop now. So I'm going to put that in right now, and let's get into the next step after this uploads. So we're going to click on submit just like that. And again, just imagine you have 3 ads. I never test with just 2 because I don't feel like that really is enough to split test that the product is going to work. But yes, let's go back to campaigns. And then the final thing you're going to do is duplicate your ad group that you created 4 times. Now, I would say the thing you want to watch out for is sometimes the settings can be a little bit wonky where it will not set to publish at midnight, even though your original ad set was set to publish at midnight. So that's a thing you definitely want to watch out for. So let's actually go into here. I will duplicate 4 times, and you'll see how sneaky TikTok is. Very sneaky. These Chinese people stealing our data and also trying to get us to spend at unfortunate times. So let's scroll on down right here. And yes, you can see right here the culprits. I mean, I'm pretty much filming at midnight. I always film at midnight because I got work to do. I got meetings. I got stuff to do. But you know what? I'm a bit of an attention whore. I like making YouTube videos on the side. It's kind of a nice little hobby. So you're going to do that. Set it for midnight, day parted, all that. Next, then we're going to click on publish. And this campaign is frankly ready to go. But now that you have your campaign set up, it's time to talk about what columns are really important when you're analyzing TikTok ads. So for me, the main columns I use is date created so that I know how long this campaign has been running. So that helps me make decisions of should I evaluate this campaign in a 3-day window, 7-day window, 1-day window, depending on how much data is available. Really just help me track everything. Then the next thing is budget. I obviously want to see how much I'm spending, and then you can easily increase it here. So if a campaign or an ad group is actually working, depending if you have CBO or ABO on, you can easily edit the budget, schedule a budget change for tomorrow, and it has to be at least a $10 budget increase, but that makes it super duper simple. Now, I actually look at my columns like a funnel. So first off, what happens? You spend money, then you get impressions, so CPM, your cost per 1,000 impressions. Then you get clicks. What's the cost per click? What's the click-through rate on your ad? Then once people are on your website, how many people are adding to cart? What's the cost per those add to carts? How many people are actually converting into a purchase? What is the cost for that purchase? That is the most important metric by far, your CPA. What's your ROAS? What's your conversion rate inside of the ad groups? And the frequency. Is your ad having too much fatigue? And you know if your ad is having too much fatigue, typically that frequency number is above 1.8 in my personal opinion. So now that we have everything set up, we have the $25 budgets, we know our BEP is $20. What are we looking for? Well, for me, I let my ads and campaigns run continuously for 2 straight days. And the only reason I'll ever turn them off after 1 day is if my CPC is at $3 or $5 and there's just no add to carts and there's literally nothing being shown. But if I'm getting add to carts, if I'm getting some pretty decent clicks, I will let it run for 2 days because the reality is with TikTok, you have to give it time. It's not like Facebook where it can immediately find your target audience literally in a couple hours. TikTok is still new. It still needs a lot of time to optimize. And what it does in the first day is it obviously shows your ad to a large group of people, especially when you have broader audiences, and it sees how they react. So that's usually how the first day is. It just spreads out your message. But then on day 2, that's when it tends to use that data from day 1, optimize, and find your best target audience. So for me, I've learned from my own experience that leaving it on for 2 days works much better than 1 day. And I know as media buyers, as dropshippers, we typically want to see results immediately. We want that instant gratification. It's just built into us as entrepreneurs. We want to see instant results and get some feedback loops. But with TikTok, it is the one platform where you do need to be patient. So when I launched this initial campaign for this client right here, it spent about $200 and the results were frankly terrible. My CPA for this product that I'm aiming for, well, my break-even CPA is about $20, and every single campaign was above that. Now, for the typical instant guru beginner media buyer, you're just going to kill everything and be like, well, I have no idea what to do next because everything was killed and I don't have a business anymore. But what I decided to do after talking with the senior media buyer I actually hired onto my team, and he convinced me of this because I was making this mistake for years, killing products way too soon. I did absolutely nothing to the campaign. I let it wait another day, and look at what happened. We didn't change anything. We didn't add any ad groups. We didn't kill any creatives. Nothing was touched. And every single campaign is now under that $20 CPA. And it was just by giving TikTok an extra day to optimize to find my target audience. And again, in that first day, it will show your ad to a bunch of different audiences. Then day 2, it starts to optimize. So it's up to you if you have the budget to spend $100 a day or $80 a day so that in the second day it can optimize better. But for me, I know you have to be patient to see results. So when you're advertising your e-commerce products on TikTok ads, what are the main KPIs you should really be evaluating? Now, for me personally, as I advertise the United States only, I'm aiming for a CPM under $10. I would say that's pretty realistic. And if you have an ad account where every single time you launch a new campaign, you're consistently above $10, there's a problem with the ad account, and I would recommend creating a new one, because with TikTok, ad accounts can be pretty hit or miss. It's not like with Facebook where all the accounts are pretty much guaranteed to work, and they work very similarly depending on the audiences you advertise to. You can literally have 2 different ad accounts advertise to the same audiences, and one of them will get an incredibly high $30 CPM, and the other one could have a $3 CPM. So you get traffic 10 times cheaper, which is obviously going to increase your profits. So I would recommend definitely aiming for a CPM under 10. Now, when it comes to evaluating your ad, the most important metric is always your CTR. So a 1% CTR is considered pretty solid. So that's just getting 1 click out of 100. Now, also for CPC, I aim for under 50 cents, but that's something that really sort of combines with CPM. If you have a lower CPM, you're naturally going to get a lower CPC. So CTR is usually the best, most fluid way of analyzing the ad creative itself. Now, after that, when it comes to the add to cart rate, and this is all about your website, I aim for 5% or more, and it depends on the price of the product. If I'm selling something that is cheaper than $50, I typically want the add to cart rate to be above 6%, and if it's a little more than $50, 50 to 100, usually you can coast at the 5%, 4% and still make profit. So for me, I aim for about 5% generally, and then after that, I want at least a third of my add to carts to convert into purchases. If you're noticing a drop off there, then there is something that needs to be fixed, whether it's the offer, whether it's having more urgency, whether it's just not having enough social proof, maybe not having enough information about how to use the product. Maybe it's just a little too confusing and you need to put some guarantees in there. Who knows? It can be a variety of different things, but you really need to think of yourself as the customer, put yourself in their shoes and really think, is there something missing here? And I've seen instances where we've sold bras and stuff like that where the size chart just wasn't easily accessible. We would have it in the product photos, but if we added it to the description, it drastically increases the conversion rate. Or if we change the offer from just buy one, get one 40% off to buy one, get one free, that can make a drastic improvement in your conversion rate as well. So you got to test different offers, and there's plenty of different apps for doing that. Now, when it comes to ROAS, I don't really look at this too much anymore. I look at CPA. What is my target CPA? So if I know I break even at a $20 CPA, I'm obviously trying to get my ad sets to be at around $17 CPA, 15, the lower the better. So when I'm analyzing ad campaigns like this one right here, and I know my break-even point is about that 20 to 25. Now with this ad account, I know $25 or less for a CPA, I am profitable. Now, ROAS is incredibly overrated when you are doing ads on Facebook or TikTok. And the reason why is because so many people will get emotionally attached to an audience that has this magical 5 ROAS, and then they'll have another audience that maybe is at a 1.8 or a 2 ROAS, and you're thinking about killing it. But when you look at the underlying numbers, that audience with a 1.8 ROAS is actually much healthier and much more consistent. But you're probably saying, Ethan, what are you, smoking crack? And before you say all the fake gurus like Kevin Zhang have rotted my brain, let me just say my case before you persecute and throw stones at me. Because the reality is you can have 2 different audiences. One audience has 10 purchases, and let's say your cost per purchase, your break-even cost per purchase is $20. So you have one audience that has 10 purchases, and the average cost per purchase is $15. And the ROAS might be around 1.8, 1.9. It's pretty decent. It's not the best in the world. Then you can have another audience that you think is the best audience in the world, but it only has 2 purchases. And the reason why the ROAS is so high is because you got one incredibly lucky purchase, which isn't going to be incredibly consistent to follow, where someone spent $1,000, $5,000, some sort of Jeff Bezos big spender that really just increased the AOV dramatically, and it's not that consistent. It was a lucky one-off purchase, and you're keeping that ad group on just because of that one purchase, and the ROAS looks sexy and fat to you. But you should always really be looking for the ad groups that are consistently getting purchases under your cost per acquisition break-even point. So for me, when I'm analyzing campaigns, I really do not look at ROAS. So let's look at these campaigns right here. So for instance, I know my $25 is my break-even point. So if I go here to the right, the ad groups I'm going to leave on. So there's not too many purchase datas here. So I pretty much would not analyze this for one day. I actually like to do 3-day windows. I like to do 7-day windows. So let's actually see when this was created. It was created a few days ago. So from the 24th to the 28th, I would say is a substantial amount of data. So let's see here. What is our cost per purchase? So when we go here, we have some that have recently been turned on, so none of these have spent money. So all of these bottom ones have spent some money. So let's see what we got. $37. All right, turning that off. $38. Turning that off. 0, turning that off. 79, turning that off. This one right here at 19, that is the only one I will leave on. And when you look at the ROAS as well, it obviously computes and it makes sense. So the next step after having a winning audience like this, and that's just the name of the game. You might only have 1 or 2 audiences that are profitable, but when you do find those, you obviously can leave them on. They'll continue spending money and you will continue to recoup those losses. It's all an investment game, and every dollar you invest into your ads, you are learning something. You are getting more information about if the product is viable. So when I do have a winning audience, the basic best thing to do on TikTok is just do more of what works. You put more money into what works. So you would duplicate this 5 times into a new campaign. I would recommend doing the same budget. So $20, $25, whatever your typical daily budget is. And then you can even play around with, after this works, this initial scaling campaign. If you notice some of the audiences are profitable, you can duplicate them again 5 times and then increase the budget. But let's look at these other campaigns right here for the last couple of days. What's been going on? So I've turned off a lot of these, but these ones right here have all spent money. So let's see what was the decision-making process. 78, turn off. 79, turn off. 79, turn off. 0. You have to know your numbers. So I know my break-even point, again, $25. So everything above that is not profitable. It's no bueno. I would say I could have definitely killed these earlier. So once you spend $40 after those first 2 days, if it only has 1 cost per purchase, it is above my break even. So I would turn those off a little bit earlier. That's my one critique here. 33, turn it off. 16, leave it on. Now let's go to the next campaign. This is probably pretty simple for you to understand, but this is how you should be evaluating your campaigns. You really don't need to look at the other numbers too much unless you're trying to optimize your profit. So you're trying to figure out where in the funnel can you optimize a little more. So let's scroll to the right here. These have all spent a good amount of money. And then cost per purchase, under 25, yes. Under 25, yes. 32, probably going to turn this one off. 98, 32, 33, turn those off. Now, obviously, you're probably noticing a bit of a trend where a lot of these audiences are kind of profitable, kind of not. So what would I recommend doing in this scenario? Well, we clearly need to increase the conversion rate of the website and the AOV, and we also need to look at how our ads are doing. So the ads are above a CTR of 1%, but the cost per click, it can definitely be a little bit better. And when you're a media buyer, you have 2 options. You can either get cheaper traffic, or you can make your website convert better and make that traffic more valuable to you. So I definitely look at my KPIs and I figure out, hey, if my CPC is at 20 cents, but I'm still not super profitable, then it's clearly going to be a conversion rate issue, because getting 20 cents down to 10 cents is a lot harder than getting a conversion rate of 1% up to 2%. So what I look at this data, I would definitely say, okay, the ads probably need a bit of a refresher. $1, 10 cents, 60 cents. We can definitely get these lower. So I'd recommend looking at what was our winning creative, seeing what the framework was. And I already talked about this in my latest videos. You should have frameworks for all of your ads so that you can go back to them and you can see which framework worked the best. And once you identify that, you just find more clips like that. You find more benefits that are fitting into that framework so you can recreate your best performing ads. Now with this campaign, I already scaled down with this winning ad creative, but clearly the winning ad creative is starting to fatigue. So we need to introduce some more creatives. Now you're probably wondering, Ethan, after I create some new creatives, how do I actually test these? It's actually pretty not straightforward, and there's not a lot of great information about how to test new creatives. Well, for me personally, let's say you created 2 to 3 new ads. I just create a new campaign. I do 5 ad groups, literally the exact same way I test the product, and then just put those new creatives in there. And then whichever creatives are working the best, then I start to scale with those as well. It's basically just resetting the entire process back to square one. You find what your winning audiences were, you just do a new testing campaign with 5 of those recreations of the winning audience, and then all of the new ads inside of them. So I believe the United States is the most profitable country to advertise to with TikTok ads, but if you're not from the USA, it can be a little sticky to get your own TikTok ad account in the USA. But really, all you need is 3 unique things. First off, a reliable, secure VPN, one that you can instantly set your location in the UK if you want to watch The Office on Netflix, or you can just use it to browse your favorite shows without worrying about data pirates stealing all of your information. So I recommend NordVPN, and you can actually get 10% off using my discount code Ethan. I wish I was sponsored by NordVPN, but I do recommend NordVPN. It's about $10 a month. You can easily connect to one of their servers in the USA just by clicking a button. It's super duper simple. And then boom, I'm in Salt Lake City, even if I'm in Brazil. So you can just do that before you log into your TikTok ad account creation screen. Then the next thing you're going to need is a US virtual address and a US phone number. Now you can rent both of these out. You can even go to Google Maps, just look up a specific US address. They're really not going to fact check it too much. And when it comes to getting a US virtual number, personally, I would recommend services like like Text Now, where you can actually get a phone number rented and receive text messages. So if TikTok sends you a code, you can actually go into services like this, rent the number for about $1 a month, I believe, and have that code right there. Now, the other way you can advertise to the USA if you are international is to get an agency account, because agency TikTok accounts can advertise to any country, but that's really the only perk I would say they really have. Sure, you get the additional TikTok support that personally almost no one ever uses, because those accounts don't really get suspensions, which is nice. But the spending issues still remain on agency accounts. Those never go away, despite if you have a personal account or agency account. And I think the real thing I didn't like, because I had all of my clients at my agency use agency accounts because I thought they would help them perform better. But the thing that really makes it hard is you'll have clients that will send money to the agency that hosts all of these accounts, and then they have to spend 2 or 3 days to credit your account, and it's just a whole mess. It's a supply chain issue. So I really believe it just makes the most sense to create a US personal account where you can advertise to the US, you deposit your money, and it's instantly there. So really, I would say the difference is very minimal. In fact, I would actually recommend having a personal account instead, because you have full control over it.